Do you need a degree to be successful as an iOS developer? What do other iOS developers think of that? And why did I choose not to do a degree? This question would come up a lot during my time on that journey of becoming a web developer. Do you need a degree? Don't you? Can you be successful without one? And I found that it's a resounding no in terms of web development. You don't need one in order to be successful. But I wasn't sure whether the same held true in terms of iOS development. And I got a little bit worried because object-oriented programming, it wasn't coming naturally to me. I think I felt overwhelmed more than anything. I started to believe that maybe I can't do this alone as a self-taught mobile developer. So I wanted to see what was out there, and I wanted to know what the other successful iOS devs thought of that. So I looked at the computer science degrees and the software engineering degrees, and I found that here in the UK they don't really teach mobile development. They're more geared around .NET, C# and Java. So straight away that put me off. Some of the computer science degrees aren't even programming based. So if you're thinking of taking one, make sure it's programming based. I would actually opt for the software engineering myself personally because it's geared around software. So what do other successful iOS devs think about this? I managed to come across Aaron Vey. He's on the More Than Just Code podcast, and on episode 77 he shared his journey. In fact, the whole panel did actually. This was a topic of discussion on that episode, and I found it really inspiring. So if you want to check it out, I'll leave the link in the video description. Aaron was sharing his journey on the 25-minute mark. So if you want to skip straight to that segment, from there onwards, it's all about this question: can you be successful without having a computer science degree? And I'll just fill you in short. No, you don't need a degree, and iOS devs come from all different walks of life. Now, in the same episode, they spoke upon something that I found very interesting. There's a certain level of prestige that comes with having a degree, and there's nothing wrong in having a little bit of pride about having a degree. I know it's something that I'd feel proud of if I had one. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think some people take it a little too far. They tie it in with their self-esteem to the point where they feel that they're a cut above everybody else and just generally make judgments upon those who don't have a degree in specific fields. Now, they were talking about a comment that was made, a review that was made on an app in the Apple App Store. Let me read the review to you just to give you a taste of what the kerfuffle was about. So here's the review. The last issue I had is that, from what I can tell, the developer has no formal computer science or software engineering training. I found him on LinkedIn and it looks like he went to a creative institute. This makes me question the longevity and underlying quality of the software. I've researched some other paid apps and I was able to find some which have developers who've attended school for software, which lets me know they have the tricks of the trade. If you're interested in hearing what they said about this comment on the show, you can go straight to 37 minutes onwards to find out what they said. I think you'll find it quite amusing. So does this mean that you can get any software job you want without having a degree in computer science? Not quite. Stef Mischook has been a great mentor of mine on my journey of becoming a web developer, and he's spoken about this at length. He's been a software developer for the past 2 decades, and he makes a lot of interesting points. There are certain jobs where you're going to need a degree in order to get an interview even. Government level jobs, corporate level jobs, they have a lot of bureaucracy, a lot of red tape, they play by the book, and they're old school. You're going to need a degree to get an interview when it comes to those jobs. But those kind of jobs, they tend to be C# and .NET and Java based anyhow. We're moving more towards a meritocracy, and this is a society whereby you're judged upon merit, not on your academic credentials. There are certain jobs where you're going to need those credentials, like if you want to be a doctor or a lawyer, then yeah, you're going to need a degree within those fields, but perhaps even those industries are going to change, who knows. Stef was involved in a lawsuit. He's been writing software for the past 2 decades, and in the late 90s he rewrote some software in a totally different language because it had a lot of bugs, and the previous software company took him and the company to court for plagiarism. They accused them of copying the software. So Stef got taken into court. He was actually discussing it with the lawyers that were going to be defending him, and the lawyers asked him, "What's your degree?" To which Stef replied, "I don't have a degree." And the lawyers were worried about that. They said, "Well, we can't have you testify in court because you're technically not an expert. You don't have a degree." So look at the lunacy. This would mean that Bill Gates wouldn't be able to defend Windows in court because the court wouldn't recognize him as an expert. Bill Gates doesn't have a degree. So as far as the court is concerned, you're not an expert, you don't have a degree, you don't know what you're talking about. So this is the kind of backwards thinking that exists within our society, but everything is evolving and changing, so I wouldn't worry about this. As much as I would love to do a degree, I opted against it because I don't want to learn C#. I'm loving Swift. I'm beginning to feel at home in the Apple ecosystem. I think you know where you stand with iOS development. When I compare it to web development, which is going in all different kind of directions right now, it's very challenging to stay up to date within that field. So I feel at home. I don't want to learn .NET or C# for 4 years. I want to remain within this ecosystem and really master it. Anyhow, I hope you got something from this video. I'm going to leave it there. Catch you next time. Peace.